My name's Rob Neidlinger, so I guess all of you saw my Facebook post at some point about this. These are some of the companies we own. We own a management company that manages rentals. We own a enterprise company, which is, pretty much does construction on a multitude of things, whether it's, construction jobs for people or flipping houses or actually working on rental properties. Neidlinger Rentals is one of my companies that owns rentals. We have a real estate team here at Berkshire Hathaway. We've been selling real estate as a team probably for 15 plus years. We just work here. This is not my company. Silver Spring is an assisted living I built a couple years ago. 2 years ago it's been open. Huge project. We did that on our own. And Remarkable Home Buyers is like a wholesaling company that, it's built to buy houses. So we can buy houses to flip and buy houses to keep. So I graduated from Penn State in 1998 and pretty much went right into business with my dad a little bit. My dad did not have any rental properties or anything like that. I kind of wanted to do rental properties so that I could build money every month that would come in and, maybe have passive income. And I can tell you, rental properties are great. I can tell you that it's hard. It is hard though too. It's just not easy. You have to have a strong mindset. You can't be a pushover for your tenants, and you have to be vigilant in what you're doing. You just can't buy a rental property and then forget about it. You got to manage it a little bit, and that's not easy. So we're going to talk about all aspects. We're really going to talk about it from a real simple. How do you say your name?
Mine?
No.
Jeeth.
For his sake, we're going to talk about it really simple. Because some of his questions he asked me were very simple. So, I graduated with an engineering degree. As much as that sounds fancy, it has nothing. It really hasn't really helped me in real estate per se. What's really helped me is just getting in and doing deals. And I tell you, that is the biggest thing that I kind of never had a fear of, is going for it. Like the risk, getting in debt, and just going for it. Right now, I actually don't know how many rentals I own. It's somewhere between 800 and 850 rentals that I own and manage. I'm probably 55 million in debt. I sleep well because it's kind of good debt. I don't have any credit card debt. I have very few car payments. In the business, I might have a couple, but I don't really have any bad debt. I don't have credit cards. Very few car payments, just a couple considering all companies. We probably have about 70 employees right now. But my dad had no rental properties. My dad was great at starting projects, which he taught me how to do. My dad was very bad with money. When he bought a car, it was like, can we afford the payment? That was his mindset. So he's good at starting projects. He wasn't good at funding them, and he wasn't good at finishing projects. I had to finish his barn when he died. He died of cancer, and that kind of sucked. But he did have life insurance, so I used some of that money to fix his barn up, and I finished his stuff. But I'm really good at finishing stuff. I'm good at financing stuff, and I'm good at starting stuff because I got that from him. So this is the one. This is the one house that I put on Facebook the other day. So finding rental properties is hard, right? So every once in a while, I'll just post on Facebook, just in type, hey, I'm looking to buy a house to fix up or keep my guys busy, or simple posts. It doesn't have to be fancy. That could be one way. You could work with a realtor. Like Rhonda helps people buy rental properties. We've bought off the MLS. We're looking if you really want to find one, you kind of have the money, you kind of have a way to buy it. We can talk about those kinds of things in a little bit later. But literally finding the property is probably the hardest part, right, Mike? Would you say overall?
Absolutely.
The last couple of years, it's been a little hard. I feel like the last couple of years when the rates were even higher was harder. Rates are down a little bit now, so it kind of makes a little more sense. But just putting just telling people that, hey, I'm buying rental properties or I'm looking to buy, you just never know when that one deal will come up. I know Meg's bought in deals like that. Colin bought one from an investor in our office that owns 40, and he bought it for $115,000.
I never even saw it.
He never looked at it. He bought it. But honestly, when I heard he got under contract, I said, that was worth like $140 when he bought it.
It appraised at $135.
Yeah, it was worth more.
I mean, all the appraiser has to do is make sure it's a good value. They don't have to appraise it more than what it's.
Yeah, but for a savvy investor.
I can sell it right now for $155.
Yeah.
Easy.
Meg took multiple properties from me. Like she literally bought some from me. Now, of course, the market shot up a little bit and she was able to raise rents from, or she just didn't tell me what they could be rented for when she was doing the work. But so this particular property I put on Facebook, literally just like 2 weeks, like maybe 3 weeks ago. So my attorney in Carlisle, I don't know if he saw my Facebook post or what, but he says, hey, I've got this property in Carlisle, so-and-so street. He wants $115,000 for it. And he had me group texted with his property manager and asked if I was interested. I just Googled the address and pulled up this picture offline. And I actually drove over to the property right away because I just didn't, like, literally within 5 minutes of getting the text, I said I'm 95% interested on the text. And after I drove over to the property. It literally took me 5 minutes. I drove over, saw the outside, couldn't see inside, and I actually might have said 98% interested. I want it because I didn't want him to sell it to anyone else. And he said tenants were in there. You have to wait. You have to wait to look at it for like a day or two, and then she had it set up like a couple days later. So I took Meg there because she does the construction side of things, and met her there. We did a quick walkthrough. Let's look at what it looked like. There's me examining it really close. I think these pictures actually look better. I mean, that's kind of rough. I don't know is that mold on the wall or not, Meg?
It's really not a bad house. I mean, there really wasn't a whole lot that we were planning on doing to it. Demoing it out, painting it, fixing some drywall, putting new floor in, putting in granite countertops, fixing the roof, redoing the bathroom, and that's pretty much all we are really planning on doing to it.
So it's in a great part of town. So I texted the attorney right away and said yes, I'll take it. And then he's an attorney, so he sent me a contract for $115,000. So there's multiple ways to buy a property. I could have went to the bank and put down money to buy it, right? That's a way to do it. But I have lines of credit, so I told him it was a cash offer. I paid the $115,000, no problems. We didn't talk about the transfer tax. There's 1% each side. I don't even know who paid the transfer tax on this. I'm assuming it was split. So he sold it to me for $115,000. So after I said yes, of course I went back and calculated, how much is it going to cost to buy it? How much is it going to cost to fix it up? So that's what we're going to go over. I'll show you the rest of the pictures real quick. So we did buy it. I think we bought it like a week and a half ago, right?
Yeah, it hasn't been more than probably 2 weeks.
So this is like kind of the progress. We did redo the paneling. We just painted. Paint goes a long way. Meg's got to fix the ceiling. We could just, if anyone has anything that's wrong with it. We kept the cabinets. You got to fix that cabinet there, Meg's. We did granite. So we flip a fair amount of houses, and we have in the past. But so there's flip grade and there's rental grade. The rental grade doesn't quite need to be as good as if you're flipping it for high-end flip. So some flips will do like this even, and then some flips will do 10 times more to get super top dollar. But our plan was to rent this going into it. Is that new floor in there, Meg?
That is, yeah.
The floors were a little squishy too in some spots. Did you fix that?
I let that go so people could just, fall.
Okay, thanks. I don't know, the painter must have missed that on the wall there, but. It looks a lot different than the first pictures, right, everybody? So, Meg, what was your...
So we bought it for $115,000. We're putting $20,000 into it.
Okay.
It's going to be all in for $135,000 plus holding costs.
So we're $115,000, $20,000,
Yep.
$5,000 for holding and closing costs, basically. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
120. So we're $140,000 all in. Make sense? Does everyone understand that? $20,000 to fix it up. Now, Meg, if someone went in there and let's say someone wanted to do sweat equity, because the first couple rentals I always did, I did all my own work. So this number probably goes to $5,000 or $3,000, right? It's all labor.
I mean, if they could go in and fix drywall and
$5,000, $5,000.
they would just essentially be buying the materials. So I mean.
So labor's
Yeah, I mean, probably closer to 8.
Yeah, when we had less than 40 rentals, Mike and I, we were doing the work on Friday nights when the plumber had a problem. We were in there fixing it. We had one in Plainfield.
The plumber had a problem.
Huh?
What do you mean when the plumbing?
When the plumbing had a problem. We were in there fixing, remember we were in Anderson's old house fixing on a Friday night?
We were in tons of them.
It always happens on a Friday night too. So that, you have to be willing to sacrifice, right? There's no, like, if you hire a plumber to come in, it would cost a fortune. It did back then, and I know it costs that now. So we're $140,000 all in. So I use my line of credit to pay this whole $140,000. So that, like, I'm not going to calculate the interest on that while we're holding it, because we're literally going to hold this thing for a week or two till we rent it out. But so we'll do the cash flow on it, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do on the back end with this particular property, or what you could do on the back end of this one. So we have to do income. 3-bedroom in Carlisle. Anyone know what that's going to rent for? Anyone have any ideas?
1,600.
That's one idea.
What is it?
3 bedrooms, 1 bath, south Pitt Street, close to Pomfret, but close to the YMCA, like the best side.
Probably 1,700.
So this is a big part. You need to know what places can rent for. Like we have a lot of property, so I can go talk to my rental department, ask them. You could talk to your rental department. We've bought apartments in towns that we aren't comfortable with, so what we'll do is we'll even run a fake ad to see how many calls we get off the fake ad. Like when we buy an apartment complex in Pittsburgh, we did that. We've not bought places because we got no interest before, but that's kind of, but I will say, go
I
ahead.
mean, if you go to like apartments.com or Zillow and you just do a search, it's pretty easy to find like kind of the going rate for that area.
And you gotta zoom in to make sure, and like always, like one side of the main street is different from the other. Like you always gotta sort of know the area, drive the whole area,
Yeah.
several blocks each way, so what you know what you're comparing it to.
And
It
you
makes a
also,
big difference.
you also have to look at the quality of house too. Like, I mean, just because it has 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom doesn't automatically make it a super nice house. Like, it needs to be updated, it has to have good appliances, it has to have, you know, probably granite countertops, nice flooring. Like, it has to actually look the part too.
Or look comparable to the one you're trying. Like crappy ones will rent too, but
Everything
Not
rents.
high.
what's that?
Everything rents.
Everything.
Just on price.
Yeah, that's your question. You're worried about something not renting. Cumberland County that we're in here and is like the fastest growing county in the state of Pennsylvania. So there's really a shortage of housing. In the last 10 years, we have way underbuilt. So there's a shortage. But of course, if it doesn't rent it at 1,500 or 1,700, you have to lower. You know, we quickly will lower it. If it's not rented in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we would lower it. What do you think it's going to rent for? What do you think it would rent for, Mike? Meg, what do you think? You know more than Mike.
We did conservative numbers at $1,595.
I like $1,695 though, right?
That's what I said. 1,700. We based the purchase on $1,595.
Okay, income is $1,595. Okay. There's no real other income you're going to have. I'm not going to count pet fees or any of that stuff that you might get, but if you have a pet, you should charge $50. Is it $35 or $50 a month these days? $50 a month for if you have a pet. This is a nice house. I mean, we allow pets, right? Don't we?
We also get a pet deposit.
Yeah, you get a non-refundable.
Non-refundable pet deposit.
And then a monthly fee.
Okay, next thing is expenses. Okay, anyone have any idea what expenses we would have on this? Dylan?
Mortgage.
We'll do that last.
Any utilities you pay?
What's that?
I don't know if you include any utilities or,
Only if we're going to pay them.
okay,
On a single unit,
Yeah.
I would make them pay it all.
everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
On a 2-unit, 3-unit, or 4-unit, a lot of times I have to pay the sewer and the water, and hopefully the electric is separate. I really don't like to buy them unless they are separate. There was one time I bought a 4-unit. It was tiny apartments, and I paid for the heat, electric, everything, and I'm fine with it. And we still have that 4-unit too, right? But, so let's go, what did someone say?
Taxes.
Taxes. $2,008 a year. What else?
Insurance.
Mike?
Sorry. They said it.
Insurance.
Taxes are.
Anyone want to guess how much the insurance is on this house?
800 a year.
Wrong. I was blown away by this too.
1,100.
How much is it?
I think it's closer to 1,100, isn't it?
$1,400.
Monthly for taxes is 167.
So then you take the total taxes and you divide it by 12 and you have a $165 a month. We like to look at everything in months, okay?
And then that is 117.
117 a month, okay? So it's that simple. If you have a 3-unit, 4-unit, you just have bigger numbers. If you have a 100-unit, you just have bigger numbers. Now, when you get to bigger complexes, you just want to make sure you have more reserves to deal with problems, and you want to make sure you have like reserves built in for doing maintenance and stuff. We're not gonna factor maintenance and stuff in. We'll just kind of look at a bottom line number, what we're looking to make per month. So now what we're going to do, what do we want to figure out now, Dylan? Like the mortgage payment.
Yeah.
So we have two options. So the BRRRR method would be to buy it, renovate it, which we're doing, then rent it out, and then refinance. So in the BRRRR method, if you refinance the whole 140 out on a loan, we're going to try that number and see how it looks. In this particular case, our plan, because we have money, Meg's part of this deal, we were going to put $20,000 down. We were only going to finance 120 on this particular deal when her and I did it, but I'm going to look at it as if we're going to refinance the whole thing. Okay. For us to get a $140,000 loan on the place from a bank, what does it have to appraise at? Does anyone know?
140.
Nope.
Isn't it 70%? Or is it 80?
So a bank will give you, if you bought this with cash like I did, or you bought it with your own line of credit, or a friend of yours gave you the money to buy it, if you went to the bank, they'll give you 80% of the appraised value. So if I take, let me pull this up. So what's going on with my calculator? It should be attached.
So that's 112.
Wrong.
80% of 140,000.
No, what does it have to appraise at? I'll teach you, Meg.
To get all the money back out.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if it appraised at 100, I have to guess this and kind of work backwards. If it appraised for 185 times 0.8, which is 80%. Does everyone understand that? So they want you to have 20% equity in the deal, 148. So that's too high because we only need 140 out. 180
175.
times 0.8.
175.
Okay.
Divide it by 0.8.
I'm sure there is a better way. Okay, right there it is. But I wanted them to see the one. So here's the thing, Mike. Will that appraise for Rhonda? Will that house appraise for 175?
Yeah.
I think so.
That's a yes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But when we buy this house and do all this work, if we're going to refinance that, we have to know what it's going to rent for when we buy it. We have to know what it's going to appraise at when we buy it, and we have to know what it's going to rent for, and we have to know what the repairs are. If we don't know all of those things pretty accurately, we could really be screwed on the back end. Does that make sense? Especially if you don't have the difference to put into it. Like if you were borrowing the $140,000 from a friend, and then you go fix it up, you rent it, and on the back end you go get a loan from a bank and it appraises at 160, how much money do you have to bring to closing?
15?
15,000. And if you don't have 15, you're screwed. See? Anyone have a question or want me to explain that more? Okay. So now.
So when we're doing this deal, we're talking between 3 or 4 of us. So if it's by yourself.
I didn't need to. I did it myself.
So bad.
I'm just being honest.
It's always nice to have other people to talk through to figure out things. So if you have a friend that's a realtor or something, you always try to get a second opinion. So
Most deals, yeah, he's right. Most deals, wait, what the hell is going on here?
most deals, every deal.
Not this one.
He's proud of himself.
I went over and stood outside with you the first time.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Okay. Most deals we do, all three of us have to agree, so to speak. Okay, so our loan amount. So now we're going to go to the bank, right? We know it's going to appraise. How much is our loan amount going to be here? Who wants to answer that? This is a mortgage calculator. Does everyone know what a mortgage calculator is? They're like on all phones. So how much am I putting here for loan amount?
140.
Okay. Anyone know how you would find out what interest rate you would get? Anyone know what the rate is?
7.5.
6.99. I called the banker right before you all got here. So if you're buying a house to live in it, you can get a fixed rate for 30 years. Like, that's how most loans are done. But when you buy this as an investment property, most banks are only going to give you 20 years. So what you have to do is know on the back end what you're doing. Like, how am I going to mentally finance this thing on the back end? If I'm doing the Burr method, if I'm buying it and going through the bank, getting a 30-year loan, fine. That's the way to go. The first one like this, you could move into it. You could get an FHA loan, have little money down, do the work yourself, and then just keep it as a rental property and keep that FHA loan. But in this case, for our sake, I had to call the bank and say, will you do a 20-year loan or a 25-year loan? You can see what it does. The payments, see what the payment is? $1,084. If we go to a 25-year loan, it goes to a $988, so it gets cheaper. But for this case, the banker I called today said 6.99. He would definitely do a 20-year. As you get more experience, banks will do more for you. The more experienced you are, they'll do more for you. So this particular bank probably would do 25 if I twisted their arm. So for this case, we'll leave it there. So there's the payment, $1,084 a month. Anyone have any questions on that? Mortgage. Mortgage, $1,084. So all we do is take this number, which is a plus, subtract, subtract, subtract.
227.
What is it?
227.
$227. Okay. That's probably, as far as I'm concerned, for me, where I'm at in my career, that wasn't quite enough for me to want to do the deal. But I would say that's still okay. If a newbie was doing this and made $227 a month and they're doing their own repairs and they're doing everything themselves, they could. But I also don't think they would have $20,000 in the repairs we did. So, and we had also planned on doing $1,595 again. We were putting $20,000 down, right? So what would that change this to, Meg? Hold on. So we would have a 120 loan, right?
120, yeah.
Is it 890 on the mortgage?
That's 929 on 120. Using 6.99%.
120,000?
Yeah.
929?
But also, the 1595 is very conservative. Realistically, this probably could go.
Do these numbers right here. Minus, minus, minus.
$382.
So the 382. This was our plan to do it, and our plan was to make 382. Now, what's our return on investment? On this scenario, how much are we putting down on this scenario of our real money?
20,000.
Yeah. So if you took 382 times 12 and divided by 20,000, what's that come out to, Meg?
What was it?
382 a month times 12, and then divide it by 20,000.
0.229.
0.22.
22.9%.
Is that good?
23%.
That's really good. But maintenance and repairs do have to come out of that. But the furnace is new, the roof's in pretty good shape. We just turned the unit. Like, we feel pretty good about that one. If someone moved out, we might have some repairs. The furnace is not going to have any issues. Now look at this. This is our amortization table. It will not let me make it larger. So we are also paying down $230 a month on it. So we really could kind of add the $230 a month to the $382, so to speak, if you want to look at return. And of course, that goes up. Like, literally in month 10, you're already down to $243 going towards the principal, which is awesome. And what also happens to a house every single year that we're not talking about? Appreciation. It goes up 2 or 3. Like most of the time it's 4 or 5%, but let's just say it's 2%. What's 2% on 175,000? 2%.
3,500.
35 divided by 12. 300, 290.
291.
So the house goes up in value $291 a month. You're paying it down $230 a month, and you're making $382 a month. See all those ways you win? And the other thing that you get is you get some depreciation.
And taxes.
You get to depreciate 1/27. What are we paying for it?
115.
115. So 115 divided by 20, or 115 times 0.85, then divided by 27.
3620.
So we have $3,600 a year that will go on your taxes as a loss from depreciating the property. I know this is hard to understand if you've never owned real estate, but that will offset your income. Anyone understand the depreciation thing? Basically, it's the purchase price that you pay for an asset. You got to take off the land because it's only the building value, and then you divide it by 27.5. It's just something, it just happens. So if you have an accountant or you do your taxes, it's a loss. And it offsets this income. So you're offsetting this income. Now, if you have lots of rental properties, you become a real estate professional like he is, and he is, and he is. When we have multiple businesses and I have a huge loss on my assisted living of like $1 million one year, which I had, and then I make money over here, those things offset. So you can, as a real estate professional, you can offset other incomes in other businesses. That's the nice thing about real estate. But, so there's like 4 or 5 different ways you win on this one single little property. Okay, let's go over some more questions about, so,
Types of financing?
types of financing. So this particular property, like if you don't own a house at all, you could have bought this house through a relationship just like me. It probably could have went conventional with 5% down. So if you would need 150, if you found the deal like I did, 3% conventional. So you need like $3,000 or $4,000 plus closing costs. You probably would need $6,000 to buy this, to live in it. You can live in it for a few months and then move out and go back home and live for all I care. But, right, Dylan, that's what you should do.
That's what I'm planning to do, but except with the 2 or 3 unit.
Okay.
Question. What's the qualifier for you guys to make the decision on rental versus flip?
I mean, this particular one, I actually am going to flip it, but I really wasn't going to flip it when I bought it. I literally changed my mind in a week. But I also need money for overhead with my company, but I would really like to rent that one. Most of our stuff is in Carlisle, Mechanicsburg, outskirts of town. I think I have one in Steelton. I don't have any in Harrisburg City that I own. I like to, I like small, I like Carlisle. I mean, that's just where I live. It's where it's close to everything I'm doing, and I really like it.
This particular property you can do a ton of different options with this one. 1, keep it as a rental. 2, sell it. Or 3, actually Airbnb it because of the location that it's in. It would do really, really well as an Airbnb.
The workmanship would have to be a little better.
Well, I needed more than $20,000.
Yeah, you could still Airbnb it.
Yeah, like how did you, what changed your mind from like, you were gonna rent it and now you wanna still flip it and sell it?
I mean, my overhead of my company is very expensive. So, it's hard to find flips. It's hard to find rent. It's hard to find properties right now. So we found one.
Yeah.
We can sell it. We'll probably make between 22, to our company, we'll probably make about $30,000 on this one.
Okay.
So that will help with the overhead that we have. I have 850 rentals. Meg's kicking in. She wants me to keep it because she's a part owner of it. So she has 40. She wants me to keep it. For me, it's just like sometimes it's situations. So Meg won't sell any rental she owns. I used to feel that way, but last year I sold probably 50 units. But I bought 50 more units towards the end of last year and into this year. So for me, it's okay. You probably felt like you had to sell yours, so maybe sometimes it's right. But suffering through it and figuring out how to keep them is part of the problem. When we owned 40, we had lots of problems. Like we hired our own property manager back then. We were paying $15 an hour. They were messing up everything. It wasn't. The more you fight and learn and dig through, really makes you grow into something that you can handle the problems. If you had the amount of problems I have some days, you'd be like, I couldn't handle it. We can handle lots of problems.
So is that 6.99 interest for a rental or like a personal?
Personal would be cheaper.
Cheaper.
That's the investment property. Interest rates are higher, and you get lesser terms.
Say for a first unit, I think you can get a 5.875.
So that would be better.
Yeah, PHFA.
And then as far as the deferment, when you sell it, your capital gains, you'll have to pay some of that deferment back, right? As far as,
It depends on how long you've owned it. If you've owned it for a year, you'll have to pay something. If you own it for less than a year, it might be a little high, might be like income rate.
okay.
So we'll have to pay taxes. We'll have to, if we sell it now and make money on it, we'll pay higher tax than if we kept it a year. But of course, that could all change with the presidency on that too.
So always do you prefer to go with the loan or financing simply for the tax purpose or?
I just don't like to deploy all my cash. But if I had your cash, right, I would buy all cash. But you could buy cash, like if I had cash, like maybe like you might have, buy cash and then go refi out. Maybe you don't need to get a loan out of 140, maybe you get a loan out of 100, and then the cash flow is a little bit better. Less stress on you.
So the only question is that when the rental income comes in,
Yeah.
the taxation will be there, right?
Yep.
Having against it a loan, then
Yeah, I would say it would help, but I couldn't scale and buy more if I put all my money into just doing the Dave Ramsey and paying it off completely to buy it.
If you have 140,000 in tax, then you can buy 2 or 3,000. That's 140,000.
Yeah.
If you want to scale and you want to, I mean, the first.
It all depends on what your goals are. I don't know. I know like this many people that have their rentals all paid off in cash. I know one guy that has 80 rentals paid off in cash. He loves it. I mean, there's part of me that wonders if I'm doing it right sometimes, but
And the thought behind refinancing is just to take the cash, to have more cash than to go get more rentals.
yes. So I bought a 100 unit for $12 million. I bought it with none of my own money. I now own 30% of it, and I made $200,000 on the acquisition fee I made when I bought it. I got a $400,000 loss on my taxes, and I make $10,000 a month, and I have no money in that deal right now. So I couldn't have done, like I didn't have the money to go buy a $12 million deal. We needed $5 million of cash for that one. So I borrowed $5 million from investors, and they got a piece of the deal too.
You sell or finance anything?
Seller finance is really big right now. So seller finance is when the seller like gives a loan. The one Mike bought for 24 units in Carlisle we bought it for $2 million. Seller financed the whole $2 million for 20 years with no money down, and that's the one that's making $3,000 a month.
Do you want any money for it, like up front?
He worked his magic.
You gotta connect with him.
And they were all paid off. They were all paid off.
I was gonna say,
Wow.
but you also have to
But we were
say,
property managing.
She had to pay $100,000 in tax. Did she? Did she ever say anything about it? Because she had to pay $100,000 in tax at least, maybe $200,000. Most people want the tax because we bought it on a sales agreement, so we have equitable title, so she had to pay the tax. And I told him I didn't want to be that guy. I said, make sure she knows she has to pay some tax. I don't know if he relayed it to her. The one we just bought up.
Office today.
She wants him to be the executor of his estate now. I don't know why, but she does, right? Yeah.
She has no family.
We just bought another 24 unit in Lewisburg. We closed like a week ago for $1.6 million, $66,000 a door. The average rent is $850 a month, and the seller financed we only had to put $200,000 down. He financed that for 3 years at 6.5%, and we borrowed that $200,000 down to buy that one too. Can't deploy our money all the time. We will eventually. I mean, we have plenty of cash because multiple companies, we have a 64-bed assisted living, so we have about $2.5 million of cash. But if you start 100 here, 200 here, like if it starts to go, then you get a little bit. As you grow, you should have more cash saved. But when you're young and you do deals, you spend your money and it gets tight for a little while, right?
Yeah, just a little bit. My wife and I bought two different properties within, I think, 4 to 6 months of each other. One was $38,000 in closing costs. The other one was $36,000, I believe. so we're out 72,000 out of pocket. And, you know, it just, we basically scraped everything to buy that last unit, but, well, that's the house we live in now, our primary. But sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, and I know, I'm sure Meg's been there, and I know other people that have been there as well. But you have to do what you have to do to get to where you wanna go, so.
Especially when you're young, because when you're young and you're like ambitious, like just go for it. Because it's a whole different ballgame as you get older.
In 2008 and 2009, Mike and I bought 100 rentals in 1 year in Carlisle. And we didn't really borrow enough to fix them up. Like that was kind of a problem. So like about 2 years later, we had a payroll tax problem because we weren't paying payroll tax. So we had about $500,000 problem we had to deal with, which wasn't fun. That was like 2012-ish. So we worked through that, but.
I mean, even something that I'm dealing with right now, a lot of my properties I bought, you know, like 10 years ago, 7 years ago, or whatever, and I had locked the terms for 10 years or 7 years, and I had like 3.99% or 4% interest, and now all of a sudden, they're coming due, and interest rates are closer to, you know, 7%, 8%, so I'm like, my cash flow is gonna go down significantly when I go to, you know, relock those terms.
And
That's all stuff that people don't really think about.
But we all preached doing 7 to 10 years, locking them in back when we could. When you were buying them, we all did 7 to 10 years as long as we could. When you start to go over $1 million loan, you can get interest-only loans. You can get 30-year amortizations on the larger deals. So that's something that we didn't know about until we started doing. So we couldn't buy some larger deals, and then we finally figured out we get interest-only on the larger deals.
But, I mean, in my personal experience, and I'm sure that they will tell you too, buying a multifamily first is definitely the way to go. I mean, if I were to redo it and get started again, I bought a single family and was like, oh, I'll just buy one, get my feet wet and see how it goes. But now that I know what I know now, I would never in a million years do that, Stephen.
100%.
Buy,
We were told the same thing.
yeah, buy a 2-unit, buy a 3-unit, buy a 4-unit. If you can do the 4-unit, do the 4-unit. Because the best thing that you can do is move into that 1 unit, live there, and rent out the other 3 units, and you're living there for free and you're making cash flow on it. And because then at that point it is also considered your primary resident, you get a whole different set of.
You get a whole bunch of free money.
I mean, your type of financing is completely different when you do that. You don't have to put the 20% down. You can lock it for 30 years. You can lock it for the full term. Like, it is a completely different set of rules. So if you can do that, do it.
We bought an 8-unit as our first, but we had issues running in. Yeah, we're crazy. We bought an 8, and first we were like, we're not gonna buy a house. We still don't own a house. We have 4 kids. They were all studios, so we can't live in them. But if we bought an 8-unit, and we couldn't get financing because we don't have rental or like experience. So we had to have that same, we had like hard money loan, but we were really big on like, we want to make it happen. So we made hard money. His mom co-signed because she has retail, like rental experience. And then we refied out.
You did?
Yeah, we did. And we seller finance a single family home that we like rent out as well. But yeah, I think that's big. We're like still trying to figure out the rental versus like, how do we, like if we want to buy one to flip, because we're like interested in that as well. So like just working out the numbers on that, like, is there a formula you use? Like, hey, this works better as a rental. This works
So
better.
flipping is a whole nother night
Yeah,
than rentals.
yeah.
I tell people the rentals are easier than flipping is way harder. Like you can get into problems. You really have to understand what the house is worth and what you have to do to make it worth that. We tend to go to the top. We push the house to its max and put the most money into it. But there's been times like, should we do a cheap flip? We literally have that saying and try to flip it that way.
Yeah.
But more times than not, we go towards, putting.
I like nice things. I don't know what to tell you.
So do you make money? Like, how much do you make a month on your 6-unit or 8-unit? 8-unit.
$2,000.
You make $2,000. You clear $2,000.
Yeah.
Do you like save money in that account in case something goes wrong?
Yeah, we don't take any of that as cash.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much is in that account now?
Over 20.
Yeah.
That's good, because now if something goes wrong, you don't even worry, you just go negotiate a good deal and just get it done.
Yeah, but that's but we also hire contractors to do a lot. We're not, I feel like we're not there. We're learning. We bought a power drill, so we're working our way up. But.
I think you should learn and do it all at the beginning. Like Meg does she still does most of hers, most of it
I
probably.
do a lot of my turns.
Yeah, it saves a lot of money. I mean, we waste a lot of money in that, and yeah, we know. So just
What's the other one that you rent out?
It's in York. It's a single family home. We seller financed that, and we got a great. We paid him like 20 grand for the house, and what was that?
We assumed a mortgage of 150K,
At what rate?
4%.
For how long? 30 years?
We only have a few more years left on it, I think, right?
It's like a few more years, then it goes variable.
Oh,
So it's
Yeah.
locked in at 4, and then we gotta.
okay. Where's the 8 unit at?
The 8 unit's in Pembroke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pembroke's okay. I don't
Yeah.
mind that. That's not Harrisburg City. That's why I like that. I
No,
do
but
like
we have had crackheads and some prostitution in there, so we got We got, you work out the kinks, right?
So I remember, so I bought in Harrisburg City one for $25,000, and I went and told Mike, I said, listen, we can get $750, $800 for 25 grand. I was showing him the numbers. I said, we should just go buy a whole bunch. The only time we got rent was when he went and got it. He always went.
wow.
That was the only time. And there was always someone living in it, whether it was rented or not.
Wow.
Wasn't there?
How many times I went down there?
How many
during
times?
Winter, because I had an excavating company and I had a diesel tank in my truck. And so I went down there and put diesel in the furnace, I don't know how many times. They always ran out.
Wow.
And then the pipes burst in this house, and we were trying to sell it. We couldn't sell it. The pipes burst. Me, him, and a couple other guys were up there with torches and soldering, and we were fixing all these broken pipes. And we finally sold it for $15,000, and it was the happiest day we ever had. Bought it for 25, sold it for 15. We just didn't have luck in Harrisburg City. We have some that we manage for people in Harrisburg, and they do okay. They do okay.
Oh, yeah.
Big houses, but for us, it's just not for us. We have one in Steelton that we bought super cheap once. That one's doing well. High Spire.
So,
But so the cities haven't been for us. We like small towns. We've done much better. What other questions? Jeeth had a whole bunch of questions. Do you want to read those off?
Yeah, so I mean,
Hold on, hold on.
here, we're at mindset, confidence, and motivation.
So for the mindset is I can't tell you how many agents, we've had a lot of agents that are not on our team anymore that name some of the agents that have some rentals.
Kristen.
Adam Osborne, he was an agent on our team. He does really well at selling real estate, but I literally had to pull he didn't want to do it. And finally, I listed a 2-unit in Carlisle for $135,000, and I literally said, listen, if you buy this and you don't want it, I'll just take over your payments. And so he bought it. He's never come back to me and said, hey Rob, take it over my payments. But I've had so many people that have been around us, and we've told them that this is what they should do, but they still just don't want to do it, or they're scared to do it. Chelsea was on our team for a while. She's a good friend of ours. Now she has 12 doors. She has some with Meg. But the first couple, people get really nervous and scared to do the first one. But if you kind of do your homework and crunch the numbers and make sure you have a way you're buying it and the way the back end, you got to have both ends all ready to go.
What are some strategies you use for your rehab costs? How do you calculate that?
Well, a lot of it is price per square foot. So a lot of times paint's price per square foot, flooring's price per square foot. I mean, in terms of kitchen, if you were to put in a new kitchen, that's just calculating how many cabinets that you need. Granite's price per square foot. So I mean, a lot of that can be simple, and then a lot of it can just be knowing the business. Okay, I know I'm refinishing a tub, so that's my contractor charges me X. So it's just I know that. But you can also just shop around for prices with contractors and see what you can get the best deal for. The cheapest is not always the best, because sometimes you can mishire a contractor and then you have a problem on your hand. But a lot of times to calculate what rehab should cost is price per square foot.
But there's some painting contractors out there that paint for a lot of people. There's some flooring contractors. Who do we use for flooring? Ronnie, Touch of Color. No one can beat his prices. He does all of our rentals, all
He does everything.
like 1,000 of them. He goes to Pittsburgh, he goes everywhere. So it's like our flooring's taken care of. Painters, there's some good painters out there that are reputable. So those two things are covered. Then you just need to find a plumber. If I was buying my first rental, I would definitely look for guys that work in construction that you're friends with, because a lot of them, if you buy them beer or just give them some money, if you can befriend them, they'll come and do it. Our other brother Justin, that's what we have been doing with him for like 20 years. He comes and he's not here. I don't know why he came, but he lives across the street, and literally he comes to my house, fixes my plumbing, or I think he just finished the plumbing on your house, right?
Just did all the undercounter lights and.
He's really good. He used to be a realtor too. He could sell, but he's kind of an introvert. He's a little strange. He works for Meg.
He's funny.
But find somebody and just kind of leverage that a little bit. I don't think you can leverage every deal you do, but at your first one or two,
Go to gas stations in the morning to find them, even talk to them at the pump. I mean, that.
Home Depot.
I just had a guy that has.
Joe and Liz, especially talking to First Services, if you ask them like, hey, do you know anybody, a contractor, they will give you recommendations for that. The other thing, the house can look as pretty as you can possibly make it, but mechanically wise, if it doesn't work mechanically, you're screwed. Electrical, plumbing, HVAC will always be your biggest expense and the first thing that goes wrong in terms of a rental. Your HVAC system will go, especially when you have cold weather. Your pipes will burst, your sewer lines will crack.
This one had a new gas forced air unit. Like if I was buying if you bought a nice big house in Carlisle and it was all electric heat, I don't think that's a good one for your first investment, because what's going to happen when your tenants get into the first winter with high electric heat? They're going to bolt. And we literally bought one on the other side of town, and sure enough, one of our property, we knew it when we bought it. We knew the heat was going to be high. Where Meg and Neely used to live. Remember how expensive? Yeah. The tenants there moved out because the heat was outrageous, and we went in and just we knew, and we went in and put a furnace in.
Do you do the same for like oil heat? You swap them out or something?
I'm okay. I don't know. We're okay with oil heat, right?
We try, if they go bad, we try to switch them out.
Heat pump. We'll put a heat pump in, which isn't.
So I had a deal with similar numbers, but it had oil and it was in the city, which was weird. So it was.
That's common in the city.
I wasn't
That's
sure.
still common.
And I had the numbers wrong with the refinance. I was doing like 70%. So, but yeah, I wasn't sure about the.
So the city was probably a no. Did you like buying in the city?
It was a nice area.
Okay.
But I didn't know how to calculate whether, like the rehab costs, whether I should swap the oil heat out and do like an electric heat pump or just.
I would say it depends. Natural gas.
For the stove only. It was probably old.
That's what we look at. If the furnace is like really old, we just switch it out.
Okay.
Because you know it's going to break. So
But early on, we had some monster-looking things in some of these basements, and we used them. Do you remember that one in Mount Holly we had?
Yeah.
We left it. We used it. We milked that.
Chestnut, is that Chestnut?
No, it was Mountain Street.
Because we didn't have the money early. I know what it's like early on, because we didn't have money. We didn't come from money. We just had to grind through it. And we would fix these things till no end at the beginning. Right? We did.
We did. That furnace ran forever.
Did we take it out when is it still there? It's probably still there.
The one side is definitely still there.
What's that?
The one side is definitely still there.
The other side.
Yeah.
5 Mountain Street.
How to rent the house.
Hold on, I'm not there yet. I said we will motivate you. So a big thing for us Neidlingers, we went into that major debt we were telling you about, the tax debt. We owed like $500,000. So we didn't know what to do at one point. Like there was one point, we had 29 rentals. The economy kind of changed in 2010. We went and saw a bankruptcy attorney. We didn't know what to do. So we literally, gas was $3 then. Him and his wife and I went to a bankruptcy attorney, and then we kind of we didn't think we needed to go there. So we sold part of our mobile home park that we had started, and when we started calculating how much we owed like subcontractors, because we were builders and you couldn't build and sell a house then, is we were about $1 million in debt. And we went on a budget. We drove Priuses, like 10-year-old ones, that got the gas price down. We just, my budget for going to Walmart was $40 a week for food. I fought with my wife every single time we went. We owned like 29 rentals at the time. We just stayed on that, but we're still on that budget. Now, I think we each got $500 a week. I get $500 a week, he gets $500 a week, my wife, his wife, and the other brother, he gets $500 a week too. Early on, that had to cover the gas, saving for college for our kids. Now we don't have to pay for gas, but we still get the same budget. I've made $1 million in a month from selling something, and we still get the same amount of money. So we do pay out some bonuses now, so that can cover some trips and stuff, but we have the money to do that, but we still really only get X amount every month, and we're on that budget. And I tell young people all the time, if you're drinking the Monsters and spending and wasting your money, it's just not good. It's not a good situation. You need to learn to save money, and you need to continue to make more. You got to make money, like at your regular job. You just can't say, I'm going to go invest in rental properties. You have to make an income, and you have to continually make it grow. Like if I'm making like 30 or 40,000 this year, I want to be making more this year. Every year you need to make more. And every year that I've been working, for the most part, I've made more money.
But don't spend more.
And try not to spend more. But I get it. You get kids and they get into sport. Like I have all those problems right now that a lot of people have.
I think one of the biggest things that we did was meet with a financial advisor. That
was my guy, right?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, they're going to want you to invest money with them.
It's completely changed our lives, honestly. A lot of people just swipe plastic. That's all they do. And they have no idea how much they spend on it. You might pay it off at the end of every month, but, so many people are just, throwing money out the door. And when you're on a very strict budget, my wife and I sat down and created a budget that we had created with our financial advisor, and it's changed our life. Now we can actually save money.
Dylan, how old are you?
18.
How much money do you have saved?
I have, I think, $8,000 in my savings account that I'm not allowed to touch, and I have I think $2,300 in money I can touch.
And that's you made all that money, right? Working.
Yes.
Because you do stuff like clean outs and stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
So you're living. You only get like 40% of your paycheck.
Yeah.
How much you make an hour?
I honestly don't know, because doing clean outs and stuff, I get cash.
Okay. I thought you're on payroll sometimes.
When I go put up real estate signs.
Okay, but you don't know how much you make an hour?
No,
Okay.
I'm only making, I see $60 every 2 weeks hit my account.
Okay.
That's it.
But it's forcing, to save. The fact that you're saving and the money you've gotten, you still have $2,000 of the money you've gotten. So you're not wasting your money. So you got to learn to save money or you'll never get ahead. And if you don't figure out how to make income that pays you monthly, like you need multiple streams of income. If you just rely on one source of income, you're going to be working for a long time. The whole goal is to not have to work someday. But I will tell you, there's no one that works harder than him or me or have. I may not work as hard now because I'm really more thinking, but for 20 years, we worked nonstop.
You don't work.
I just said I don't work as much now. I think a lot.
Thinking is work. It's hard to work.
It is. Yes.
Very hard.
How many employees do you have?
9.
Yeah, you're always thinking about them and what you're doing and are we doing the right thing? Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, we got more questions here that I got to answer.
Another thing he normally always had with him was his Starbucks. Now did you quit going to Starbucks?
No, I still go to. I can do that now. Yeah.
In the morning.
Well, no, you had to post a while ago. You were stopping.
No, I'm still on it. But I don't think anyone, I don't think it's good. When should you target to break even? I would tell you right now it's harder. It's harder than ever to break even. Rental properties are higher, more expensive than they ever been. Rents are higher, but it's just it's hard. You figured it out in 2023 with she's making $2,000 a month on that hard money loan. What was the interest rate on the temporary loan to buy it?
12%.
12, yeah. 12%.
12.
12% interest.
Yeah. Right now, hard money's probably like 14 or 15 even. You're not going to sell it. You're going to keep it, right?
Yeah. I just want to sell. I really want to flip a house. I want to get my hands dirty, so I want the cash.
But then use hard money. Find a good deal and use hard money.
Yeah, but I have no experience, so I don't want to screw up with someone else's money. So I don't. But we found a good.
Here's the thing. Well, whose money do you want to screw up with?
His. No, that's.
I don't want to screw up with Eddie. So I think we just lost money. We think I don't like on a flip in 5 years. We just lost on flip, and we've done in the last 5 years probably 300 flips.
Oh, wow.
So what happened?
She screwed up. Oh no! And honestly, we had it under contract where we were making 29,000. It fell off. The long story.
He messed up.
Yeah,
The deal fell
I was
through.
the deal fell through. The market was kind of changing, and so kind of like
It was over winter.
it was over winter. The market changed, and we got 30,000 less. And if you add back in the extra fees we build into our flips and the commission, we might have only lost like $1,000. But literally 5 years of no losing money.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Because when you buy a flip, what you're buying it for, what it costs to hold it while you own it for 6 months, the repairs you have to put into it, and what is it going to sell for on the back end. As long as you have all of those things 100% known, you're fine. We know the day we're buying a flip how much, like what if it's a good deal or a bad deal or even a home run. And like right now, we are buying houses that we literally might only make 13 grand on. Like it's tough out there.
I mean, that's still good. It's 13 grand that you didn't have when you started.
That's not guaranteed.
Right.
That's hoping.
How long does one of those take you to flip? Like, where you make the 13 grand? Like, how long does that
Like-
take to?
I mean, most of those are probably like 30. Like she'll fix it up in 30 days.
Wow.
That's another thing. People that buy flips take 6 months to do it, like literally. And you could budget 6 months, but you want to get it done. And like you want to. If I was buying a flip and I had a regular job, I would be there like till 2 in the morning every single night, every night till it was done. I wouldn't stop. My family wouldn't see me at all.
Weekends.
Weekend, Saturday, Sunday, nonstop.
You gotta go that hard at it.
Yeah.
Because the longer you have it out, it just costs money.
Right.
You're losing money every day. If you
We
don't look
also-
at it that way, even a rental, turning a rental. If you have a tenant moves out, you got, our rule is 2 weeks. It has to be rent ready in 2 weeks.
That's even when you acquire a rental as well? 2-week
If
term?
it's vacant, yeah.
No, not like with this one.
Yeah.
$20,000 repair, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, it could be fine.
But you have a team, right? Or you do it all yourself? You have
We have a team, yeah, we have-
Okay.
But that's the other mistake people make with rentals is you don't turn them fast. Like,
Yeah.
Some people will sit for 2 to 3 months without collecting rent.
Even people that have owned some apartment complexes, like one in Hershey, a 72 unit, the guy managing it lived there and he was managing it and he would take a month to turn them. And we bought it. I didn't think it was going to work out. His name was Mickey and he turned out to be really good. He learned how to flip them in a week.
Wow.
That's 3 weeks of rent. And you have to be able to push rents a little bit. You have to.
I was gonna ask about your rent, like that, we're not familiar with Carlisle, we're in Harrisburg, and the rent seat sounds low. Like, is that normal for here? Do you guys err on the low side? Like, I'm always like, I feel like you should rent it high. We have our unit is in Pembroke,
Yeah.
but like, he goes on like fair market rent a lot. I feel like we could get more for what it is, so like, how do you guys base that?
So what do you get for a 1 bedroom? Is it 1 bedroom or
They're
efficiency?
studios.
So what do you get for one?
So our highest ones that we've redone are like 825.
The highest one's $875 right now.
Yeah.
For-
875
yeah.
For a studio.
I would say studios are like that around here or 700-ish here.
I get about 800 for my studios.
Okay.
But the only thing you do is you put it out there.
Yeah.
I mean, you tell
But
someone-
there's going to be a max that someone's going to pay for this. Like, there's brand new townhouses for $2,000 in Carlisle. They just got built.
Okay.
They're a 4-bedroom, so we really can't. You're going to be maxed out probably at $1,595 or $1,695.
Okay.
But we've done double. Like we're like also, if you're a new investor, I wouldn't be dealing with like mobile homes on land. But we probably have 10 of them. We bought in 2 mobile homes and a house. But that's after we owned a few rental properties. We own some single wides on land. We own some double wides on land. For us, it's all about cash flow at some point because we're borrowing someone's money to buy it, and we're making a difference. We're not overly worried about renting any property. So I know you were worried about like, can you rent it or not? Like, that's really not a big deal.
Okay.
Renting is relatively easy. Backup, what do you do if you can't rent it or something? Like, it is good to have some backup options in your mind. Well, if I can't fix, if I can't rent it, then I sell it. Like, it's like we have multiple options on our properties. Like, we have those discussions all the time.
But even like going under how to rent it to like put it out there.
Yeah, tell them how you do it.
I mean, you want to have, well, first, obviously, clean the place. You would be very surprised how many times people simply do not clean their rental properties. So make sure it's nice and clean. You list it online, apartments.com, Zillow, all those places, Facebook. And then, people will start coming in. But the better pictures that you have, like if you have professional pictures, the better, because that's going to attract the people in. I mean, sometimes, like if we're struggling to rent it, like we'll actually take video footage through the house and walk through the house video-wise. What else?
I think so we'll get professional pictures. Like, professional pictures make it look better than it is. Anytime we listed a house, we did it. The one in Lewisburg that we just bought, they renovated one unit, and we ordered professional pictures. It's $100. And then now the hallways aren't done, but I won't have those done in time. So when the hallways are done, we'll probably send the photographer back for $100, because the better pictures you get for marketing make a difference.
One question.
Yeah.
Megan, you said when you're struggling to rent, when does that alarm go off when this is a tough unit to rent? Like, when are you kind of realizing that?
So I typically start by just posting it on apartments.com and Zillow.
Right.
If I'm not getting a lot of inquiries within like the first, probably week, then I'm like, oh boy, what's going on? I typically let it go 2 weeks. Time of year also plays a role into it. During the holidays and winter months, it's typically a lot slower than versus like spring. So if you're fresh spring market and it's 2 weeks and you don't have people coming through and inquiring about it, it's probably overpriced, so you gotta drop it. There are some of mine that I do know for a fact I struggle to rent, so every single time that they come due, it's like, okay, what am I gonna do differently to get this?
You could upgrade the unit. You could put granite in. You could, and you might not do it the first time you turn it, but maybe the next time you do nicer floors, or you do a decorative chair rail wall, or you just do a custom paint where you do the walls one color, ceiling another color. You can do that kind of stuff if you're having trouble.
The other thing is Facebook, to put it on Facebook Marketplace. In my opinion, that is like the last resort, because you will get hundreds of inquiries off of Facebook, and a lot of it is this available, is this available, is this available? But the volume that comes through with Facebook is where you actually get a lot of people. So I don't typically post it on Facebook unless I'm like getting desperate.
Yeah, we rented ours on Facebook, and I hosted like an open house for it. I was not about to meet people and show them all. I said, we're here from here to here, come and view it. And but there was a lot of.
But you manage yours out
In York ourselves, yeah.
You do the 8 unit yourself?
Not our 8 unit, no.
Where's the 8 unit? Where do you live?
We live in Harrisburg. We live off Union Deposit Road, if you're familiar.
And the 8 unit is where?
Pembroke. So it's like 15 minutes from our house.
Why don't you want to deal with it?
It was our first one, and we were a little scared. We had no idea what we're doing.
Who do you use? Harrisburg Property Group?
We use John Wallach.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I actually got my real estate license and like got it all, and like I thought it would be helpful. It was like not at all. I just put an escrow. I don't feel like it helps me doing that. Like,
you don't need it for your own property.
no. And for investment, I feel like it's more of a hindrance, honestly, unless we were going to flip and I wanted to list them myself. I don't know, but
Yeah.
Well, if you buy off the MLS, you can just roll your commission into the deal.
yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of like disclosures and all this random. I don't know. The law aspect of it got me scared. Like, we don't the like knowing the tenant laws, that freaks me out. Like, I don't want to, like, okay, you have to know a lot of that. Like, hey, someone didn't pay. What's the guideline? How can we evict? You can't just go change locks.
We had
like,
contractors saying, just go change the locks.
yeah, and
And
like
we
I don't
didn't
want to
know we
get
could.
sued.
Yeah.
So
I tell you what you can't do is just go shut the water off when they don't pay or get out.
Take the front door.
I've done both. The judge did not like it. He gave him 2 more months in the house when I shut the water off myself.
oh man. So yeah, you just like look it up. Like I feel like that just scares us. Like, how do you know?
I wouldn't worry about it personally, but
All right.
it's your house. Your house. So this leads into what problems can you? There is you will have problems, right? So you know that going in. I would say one of the biggest problems you could have two of the biggest ones that we've recently had was our property manager, Derek. He bought a 4-unit in Mount Holly, and they had all these wood, like it was stucco with all the wood over top of it. But this particular tenant, who I went to high school with, she's kind of she's like on HUD, and they had what did they have there? Bed bugs. So Meg and I, we filmed it. We got up all in the suits, and Ryan went in and filmed us. And I've never seen so many. So we got them all out. We got all the stuff out. They exterminated the thing. Then they had to go back and literally, because they had to take all the wood off the walls. So he's had a night. Did he ever get it rented again?
Oh yeah, it's rented now. It's all good.
Took him like 3 months. Cost him a lot of money. So bed bugs could be a major problem. It's even worse when you have a 4-unit or 6-unit or 8-unit building. And they're in Cumberland County. It stinks.
We had a roach problem, yeah.
We have a roach problem 2 and 1 too.
And they don't report it, and then, yeah.
Another major one, water line, like from the house to the middle of a street on a Friday. You got to get John Gleim in there. What'd that cost?
$4,000.
$4,000. Derek, same guy. What did the one on the main drag call us? Like $5,000 on the city, and the other one that we had, $5,000.
I had a sewer line replacement, that was 10 grand. That was a tough one to swallow.
What about the gas line?
The gas line, yeah, that was
The
not
stump
great.
removal?
So the borough sent me a letter saying, this still irritates me, to no get up. So the borough came out, planted a tree on my property on the sidewalk. The tree grew. The roots then broke the sidewalk. And then the borough sends me a letter saying, I need to fix this. So I hire a guy to remove the tree, and in the process, he hit a gas line.
Oh, no.
And the gas company had to come out and dig up the entire street to replace the gas line, and it was a nightmare.
Did you ever get a bill from them?
No, I actually didn't. He submitted his insurance, and I went with the insurance company, so I actually walked away pretty decently. But
Justin came in and finished it off for you, didn't
Justin came and finished it. He saved the day, and
That's our brother.
yeah, the road was shut down for quite some time, and it was a lot of stress for a while, but got through it.
What major problems have you had yet? Any yet?
First eviction, this lady, she was good, but she was super messy. And she was going to the bathroom on the floor. Her dog was going to the bathroom. Well, you can't just evict them, so then you have to go through all the legal process and had to go to court. We had to get the pound to come out because she left her dog in there. It was bad. That was probably the worst. Burst pipe about a month ago. We didn't get the bill for that yet, so that's probably going to be a couple grand.
We had one house that had the same thing.
Yeah. It was old copper piping, so they had to run PEX to 3 units.
Oh my goodness. Was it vacant?
What's that?
Was it vacant?
No.
Oh.
No, so it was on emergency dollar too. So they had to come out at like 8 o'clock at night and think they were there till 5 in the morning.
Yeah, so when you're new and you're doing your first one, some of these problems pop up, and that can turn you off of a rental quickly. So you got to muster through that too, and be ready for it a little bit.
So
You have a major problem. Oh, you just had a furnace go out, right, on one of yours?
$8,000 for HVAC system.
But Shern's covered part of it. I heard that, so that's good.
Apparently it was a high voltage explosion. That's what they deemed it.
Yes.
So in cases of eviction, if we submit a legal request, does it take care of itself, or we have to go through additional process?
Who knows how to do eviction? Do you know how to do one? Do you know how to do one?
Yeah. So the first step is going to whatever county courthouse it is, and then you file for the paperwork for it. And typically, I know in Carlisle it's about $130-ish a person that's living in the. So if you have 2 people in the lease, it's more. If you have it's just one person. So then they go out and they send them a piece of mail saying like, hey, you have a court hearing this day. Then you actually go before a judge and you present your case, they present theirs, and the judge will rule either your possession or what's the other one? They'll either pay and stay. And so whatever the judge rules is kind of what you have to go for. If you get possession of the property, I think it's 10 days that they have to be out. And if they're not out, then you have to get the constable there, and the constable comes and actually removes them from the property. But then the real kicker is you have to, their stuff, you still have to hold their stuff.
For 30 days.
For 30 days. And it's definitely a process and it's a headache. Or, I mean, they could get off on their own. Sometimes you get lucky and, the eviction scares them and they just get out of their way.
It's relatively easy to get them out in Pennsylvania. We're a good state for getting tenants out. Places like Atlanta, Georgia, a lot of my friends that own apartment complexes there, because there's a lot of demand there, is evictions take sometimes 6 months. Sometimes during COVID, it was over a year to get people out. We didn't have any of those problems here.
Did you, I don't know if you said anything about it, but as far as filing eviction, don't, be hardcore on it. Don't be a softie. They say they're gonna bring it next Friday, and it's already 5 days late, still go file. Because the last thing you can do is be 10 days, 12 days. I mean, it'll drag you on.
Do we file pretty religiously on people?
We are hardcore.
Hardcore.
15th of the month.
We do? Do you too?
15th of the month.
File.
Have to give them a notice ahead of time?
Nope.
About the eviction? Okay.
That lease is good enough for that.
It depends what your lease, there is a lease, there is a provision in the lease that says they waive their right to a 10-day notice.
Yeah, I had that issue with a tenant where they like to pay late every month, so they waited until you filed and then paid and then went through that process like every other month.
Yeah, we have tenants that do that. There's a handful. I think there's 15 we're filing one right now that we just filed one. But out of that 15, they said probably 8 or 9 of them will all pay. It's just the people are in their ways.
We manage like 1,100 out of this office total between ours and other people's we manage.
They pay the fee if they end up paying, like, they pay the eviction fee?
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
And late fee if there's a late fee.
The filing fee, right? Yeah.
Yeah. When if there's a $50 late fee for not being on time.
We don't do a percent because a lot of the judges don't give it, right?
Correct.
They don't give it.
And they don't a lot of them don't like, $10 a day. They don't like that either.
Cumberland County will always rule it for $10 a day, because I do $50 on the 5th and $10 a day for every single month, and every single time Burbank has ruled in my favor.
Well, you're Meg.
Harrisburg, not so much, but Carlisle, yeah.
So you have like a date where it's late, and after that, it's
Yep.
the
So I
monthly
give a
rent
grace
plus
period.
$10 a day?
Yep, I give a grace period, so rent's due on the 1st. I don't charge late fees until the 5th. On the 5th, I charge a $50 late fee, and then it's $10 a day for every day that it's late after that,
And when do you do the eviction filing?
on the 15th.
On the 15th.
It's really easy to, back when we had 40 or 50 rentals and we had a very inexperienced property manager. I mean, we had some people that owed us $5,000, $6,000 on $800, $700 rents. Remember all those problems we had back then, Mike? We're like, what are we doing? Why aren't we filing all these people?
And let's say they're late, it takes 3 months to get them out, they now owe you 3 months of rent plus all the.
You're not going to get it 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, do you actually get the money?
I don't even know if we file. Do we file against them? Or no?
We do.
Okay.
We actually send it to a collection agency. Our system has it, that we're able to do it, so.
And you will defer the rent.
And you should be.
That as an individual landlord, that you can.
You should be diligent on the front end of the process. Like back when I rented stuff, I just wanted to rent it. So if I liked them, I was renting it. And that's not a good way to do it. I'm not allowed to do that anymore.
He causes problems.
Because I believe the best in everybody. So how much income do they have to make?
3 times
The rent.
the rent.
And they have to, and we verify it, right? We verify it. So we have to prove, we need pay stubs. We got to literally prove how they're doing it. So we're definitely much better with that now.
Yeah, so we do proof of income, and we always do 3 times the rent. We also do credit check, background check, and then we started asking for referrals, as far as I know. I know I personally do referrals, because even though on paper, they look like a great tenant, they have great income, no background, credit's good, doesn't mean that they're gonna be a good tenant. They could be a slob, they could, you know, not take care of themselves, they could not take the trash out, they could have bed bugs, you know, it's all the problems. So definitely ask for a referral.
And the
if you
credit
can.
check, and the credit check. Yeah, you gotta do credit, yeah.
Who do you get the referral from?
Past landlords.
You do that on everybody? I doubt we do it, do we?
I don't think you guys do it on everybody, but I try, if I can get that referral, if I can
Yeah.
get past landlord, absolutely, I'm giving it and I'm calling it.
You think they lie though? I was reading a book and it was like past landlords will lie and say they're good to get them out.
They lie to Meg.
Have you had people say like, hey, this person's bad?
No, every single, oh, yeah.
Oh,
Every,
okay.
every single time
Okay, good.
I've called, I feel like they've given me the truth.
Okay, cool.
What do you look for on a credit check?
So there's a big difference between like medical expenses versus like a divorce versus like you have a car repossession or just bills that aren't being paid. So I always look for that type of stuff, like why is your credit bad? Is it from a divorce, is it from medical bills, or is it just straight up, I don't pay my bills? So a
If
lot
there's
of,
evictions on there, that's probably not good, right?
yeah.
I worked for a rental community for a while, and we would look at like each little thing, and we would deduct certain points for each little thing. They didn't care what the score was. Like, we didn't look at credit score, we just looked at what each late thing was and deducted points for that. And that was so long ago, I don't remember what.
Do you know if we go by score at all or not? No, we don't go by score either.
The score isn't looked at, it's
No.
also on their credit reports.
A big thing our company does, you don't have to do this, but like we've done goal boards every year. It really helps like figure out like why you're doing what you're doing. It's really helped us. I have a Lamborghini on every one of mine. I've never bought a Lamborghini because they literally cost like $1 million now. But this is one of my early ones, boat, jet skis. We've had like 6 jet skis. We have a beach house. That's one of our things here. We have a family, one at Ocean City, Maryland. Like literally 1 year, like I was building my assisted living, so my focus went completely on my assisted living. And that was 2019. We've been open for 2 years now, so like literally this is like a 6-year project that we had to do. It's like 40,000 square feet. There's 52 people living there right now. That company employs 50 people, so that took a lot. That took all my focus 1 year. Most years are like, you know, like back to vacations and Lamborghini and the kids and skiing trips. I've been to this exact house like 2 or 3 times.
Where is that at?
Zihuatanejo, Mexico. We're going in May. The Corvette was one of my goals. That's why I bought it. I flipped it the 1 year. Skiing. This is the apartment complex we just bought up in Lewisburg. So buying more apartment complexes. Having goals is important. This picture here was the 2019 when I was building the assisted living. Like I literally had pictures of ones all around my mirror, and I left it it was up in my bathroom for 3 years. I literally wasn't going to take it down till I was profitable. My wife finally took it down. I'm still not quite profitable yet. But you have to be, like when you want to do something, you have to be super diligent.
Do you have anything that you do short-term rentals, or is it all?
We have 15 of them.
You have 15 short-term?
Yeah. We have some in Carlisle, we have some in Hershey. We shut down the one in Harrisburg on Front Street. It was a good one. We made $50,000 on it. It just wasn't renting as well as we would have liked.
Do you do all those through your own company?
Yep. His wife's sister kind of for 5% manages ours from the aspect of dealing with all the tenants.
Do you feel like those profit well?
They've gone down. Since we've started them in like 2020-ish. We had them during COVID. We panicked during COVID. They actually shot up during COVID because the ones in Hershey, people got stuck here and they stayed in them for months. We probably dropped the price. We dropped it down low on all of them. We have some like 4 or 5 bedroom houses in Hershey, right near Hershey Park. There's only like one zone, and it's hard to find a house that does them. We figured out how to buy a couple there. Carlisle, we have some. Lewisburg, one of our apartment complexes, we had one, but it wasn't doing so good. We just converted it to a rented apartment. We're not really buying any more of those, just because there's a lot of competition.
A lot of work too.
A lot of work. It's hard to scale. Like when you start getting over 15, like we need a laundry service. We need everything. I haven't heard any problems lately. I guess they're going good, huh?
They're going.
They're going.
No, I was curious. I feel like I get a lot of people that want to rent for 2 or 3 months, maybe even 6 months on my Airbnb. And sometimes I have the open space, sometimes I don't. Because people can book 2 nights 6 months in advance.
Yeah, we can never do that. We can never do that. And Hershey's right at Hershey Park, so we really do good during the summer. We'll lose money other months.
I get a lot here with like the car shows.
Yeah, they're always booked around here for the car shows.
I get a lot of 3 or 4 night stays throughout the month. And I kind of,
A friend of mine in our office told me about him once, and he had 1 or 2. And once I kind of found out about him, I had 6, like within 6 months. And then he was pissed because like I drove the price. Now, we flipped a house once, and I knew they were going to do an Airbnb, and I'm like, I don't want to sell it. And I raised the price. I didn't take the price that they offered. Sure enough, they took the higher price and they made an Airbnb. Of course, now they have a couple too, so it just keeps driving the price down that you can get per night.
Yeah, there was a couple flips that we did in Carlisle that I wanted to keep as Airbnbs, and we decided to sell them, and then whoever bought them turned into Airbnbs.
Yep, it happens.
How much time do you think you would spend on a typical rental like this, like per month, like just keeping up with maintenance and stuff, like out of your cash flow? Like how much time do you spend on a typical rental?
I don't spend any time on my rentals. 0.
Or, right, but like if you have to hire, or how much?
Okay.
How much money do you get into just keeping up with the maintenance?
So it really depends on the quality of the turn or the slip or whatever you want to say. Like this one in particular, because we're going in and we're redoing all the electrical work, we're doing all the plumbing, the furnace was already new, we're putting a new roof on. You know, we're actually putting like decent flooring in that's, you know, pretty, that can withstand some wear and tear on it. Like we probably aren't going to get hardly any calls for the first one.
When someone first moves into it, after you get all they'll work the kinks out, when you turn something.
But I'd say a couple rentals, you shouldn't have any, hardly, if you did a little bit of work to it, you should have hardly, the more work you do to make it nicer, the less problems you'll have. We have another guy that used to work for us, he doesn't work for us anymore, he has like 40 rentals as well. He fixes his up really nice and has virtually no issues, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, so he actually probably does it a little bit better, because some of, no matter what he buys, he goes in and he fixes it up from start to finish, like it's perfect. And he doesn't really get hardly any maintenance calls. But like with me, like there's some of my rentals that are just old houses, and I refuse to put the money into fixing them, and it just kills my cash flow every single month, because I'm constantly getting calls. And then it's just a
Yeah, and the more you do, the more you can make on your rentals. Meg has 42 rentals and makes 10 grand a month on her rentals, okay? The 200 and, what's that? Profit. And the 250 rentals I have that I own, with full management, full maintenance guys, I make like 10 grand a month. And I leave it all in. I don't get to pull it out. So I make 10 grand on 250 rentals. But I have a massive amount of equity when I go to sell them.
Right.
But I also do 0 work. Meg does probably a lot of work on hers per month, right? On her 40?
I do all my turns.
Yeah.
I mean.
But you answer all the calls, like
yeah,
you're texting.
I completely self-manage.
Wow. What do you do when you go out of town? You don't go out of town?
Call Justin.
Call Justin.
So like in the middle of the night, they're calling you?
Yeah, yeah. But Meg doesn't stop text. She's like texts all day long. You can't even have a meeting with her and her not text people.
That's true, I've been sitting here listening the entire time.
I'll tell you what, I do all my stuff for the Airbnb, and the one time I went out of town and someone needed something done, I was like, I called my dad, he was busy, my brother, he was busy. My one friend, he's like, my brother can help you. So I
Want Justin's number? He lives right here.
I'll have to get it. So I got this guy's brother who I never met, gave him the code to this house, and he went in, fixed the toilet, charged me for it. I'm like, dude, I could have done that for $10. But because I was out of state, I couldn't. But I didn't have anybody, because I'm like, I do
Well, that's
everything
how it
myself.
always is.
Yeah.
At least you got a guy. That's what it is, just getting a guy to fix it.
I'm like calling
I was with a guy today that has 12 rentals, and when he was out of town, he said he pays this one guy $325 an hour to come in and do work. I'm like, what?
Oh my God.
Like, you couldn't find someone cheaper?
That's crazy.
$300 an hour?
$325 an hour. I asked him twice.
That fellow's making out pretty good, I'd say.
I know I would do it for $299, and you know what I'm going to do?
Yeah, sub it out.
Go get the $50.
Go call Justin. He would go for 50 an hour, I guarantee you.
I'd go for 50 an hour.
What's that?
I'd go for 50
Okay. I'll sign up. Does anyone have any questions about anything? It doesn't, like, we can answer any question. Megan, do you have any questions back here? Did you understand a lot of this? Okay.
Yeah, do you do any student housing?
We do. I have a 146 unit in Pittsburgh, just outside of Slippery Rock, and 30% of that is student housing. And I really did not want to buy it. And it's all one floor. It was nice. It felt like a motel, but it was all like new roof. We put new roofs on it. It's nice, but it is a component that is very challenging. But it's relatively full. We're doing well with it, but I don't think I would buy any more student housing. And even though we've owned stuff in Shippensburg, I've never touched that kind of stuff. We have rented to Dickinson College with a couple of my friends' houses, and those guys party like crazy. They destroy everything. I went to his house one night because there was a water leak or something with the toilet. Dickinson College in town. There was 150 people in the house. It was awesome. I was taking pictures and sending it to him. I wanted to stay.
I had one as a contractor. This is way, way, way back years and years ago, where a guy was running a place to college kids, and they were having a huge party, and something broke, so he called me to go over and take a look at it. And they had a goat living there in the house, and the goat was like literally eating like parts of the floor and the trim and stuff. And they had an entire room that was just full of hay for this goat to like live in. And the basement was completely turned into like a party zone, and it was just like, are you aware that this is happening like at your property? Like, he was like, oh my God, I had no idea. I'm like, I'll probably do something about this.
Any questions at all? Anything?
I have a question about, do you do residential assisted living at all? That's like a big thing now. You heard like residential homes that like assist living in like the rooms, like a room share type. Are you familiar with that at all?
But you're taking care of the seniors in that situation?
Yeah, or like you would hire someone out to do it.
If anyone ever wants to come spend a couple hours in my assisted living, there's so much that goes on to take care of seniors. It's like it's 24/7.
Yeah.
It's like, it's hard. I don't.
We've been watching a lot of people who have been doing it now. Like if you look on YouTube, and I was just curious.
I wouldn't. Those don't work. There's no way they can work unless they're doing the work. Like a lot of it.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Now I know of some guys like in California that are doing good, but a lot of their help comes from like Mexico. So they can get Mexicans to come up and live in the house, like they live there.
Yeah.
That's a little easier.
Yeah.
In Texas, you might be able to get a little bit of that, but like here, no way. There's no help. We have no help here, and we're cold, and people don't like that. We are struggling. We cannot hire people, and we pay well. There's just a shortage. Like they're just jumping from one nursing home to the next, and it's a struggle. I mean, I really could hire 10 or 12 more people at my home that are full time and not have agency in there. It's a real struggle.
One thing we haven't talked about is why start to buy and invest at a young age. And the big thing with that is time. I mean, if you just invest over decades and decades and decades, like the amount of money that you're going to be making through interest and, appreciation and all of that stuff over time is overwhelming, and it is incredible. And like people don't really like think about it. Like even if you think about like Warren Buffett, the reason why he is so successful is simply because of time. Because he's been investing for decades and decades and decades. So, I mean, he made most of his money after 60 years old. He started investing when he was like, I don't know, like 15, 16, however old he was. So you have all those decades of investing. So that's one thing to really be thinking about, especially if you're, on the younger side here of buying as many rentals. Even if you get one a year and you stress it out for 10 years, you have 10 rental properties. Over the course of the next 10 years, the amount of appreciation that's going to go up, your cash flow every single month, like you're going to be so much further ahead than a lot of your friends.
And I'm 50 and I still want to buy more. We're still buying.
So to buy, I don't really have cash to put down for even closing costs right now on a property. But I do have another property. So would it be a bad idea to take the equity out of that home, just take like not to refinance it, but this term I'm looking for. Yeah, like an equity line of credit off of that.
If you could, I mean, it depends on your, how you feel about that.
I want to do it.
Did you find a place that's a good deal to buy or not?
I haven't yet.
Okay. Another thing you could do is just be asking every person you know, like friends, family, people. You have a rental property now?
Mm-hmm.
Do you tell people that you have it?
Most people know.
Yeah. So you tell the story on how well you're doing with it, how it's going, and if people ask how it's going great. But I'm looking for someone else that have some money to invest so I can buy my next one. And you just never know.
You just network with somebody.
Mm-hmm. We have a guy, Bank of Denny, when we bought 100 that one year. Mike got the relationship with Denny, and Denny still gives us, like Mike will call up Denny and say, Denny, do you have money right now? He's like, yeah, I've got money, or no, I don't. He gives us money at 8% interest on a 30-year amortization.
Okay, so you basically use him like a bank.
Bank of Denny. So what we did is we'd buy like 5, 6, 7, 8 properties with him back in 2010. Use his money. We had about $1 million of his money at one time, and we'd go buy them in bulk or buy them up with his money and then go get a loan over top of all of them from a commercial bank. But you could do that with one deal. Like I've got a friend named Sam Thiel that I met. He's financed like 3 or 4 properties. He actually passed away. The family just called us the other day because one of the loans came up and they said they would extend it for 3 more years. So they were fine with it.
The other thing you can do is seller financing. So if you find a house that the person wants to get rid of, you can go to them and say, hey, will you seller finance this? And sometimes you have to put a little bit of money down, or sometimes you get lucky and you don't have to put any money down, and then they act as the bank.
Okay.
But if you don't have the money in a good deal, but if you have a good deal come up, he's out of luck. It's better to have private money.
I was just giving them some options.
Yes.
It's a lot harder to find hard money than it really is. I mean, we've talked about it for
Okay.
a few years now.
How many people in the last month have you asked for money?
True.
How many?
None.
Okay. How many did I ask in the last week? I put it on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I had a guy reach out to me. He came and met me today. He's not even a friend of mine on Facebook, and he's wiring me $165,000 next week to buy a house.
And you just use them as hard money. You don't make them like part share, like part owner or whatever. They don't.
No. Just so hard money would be like, so hard money is easy. If you have any reputation whatsoever, I can get somebody hard money at 14%. That's hard money. Private money is more like a relationship thing where you can get it at 7 or 8%. Typically, someone on the private money would rather lend to someone they know they're going to get it back from. So you have to prove to that person you are going to give it back to them. I had a guy one time that needed money, and I went to one of the private money guys I have, and I said, hey, can you, and he knew the guy. He was owned a company, and me and this other guy were both agents. And I went to Doug, who had all the money, and I said, this guy needs the money at 14%, and Doug said, no, I don't want to do that. But Doug was loaning me money at 8%, but he didn't feel comfortable giving it to him. And I said, I think it will be okay. I even kind of endorsed it. So I went over to my other guy that I knew, his name's Angelo, and he gave him the money, 14%. But people sometimes will loan to someone they know and trust for less amounts. The guy on Facebook that just met me the other day, he owns like a in-home nursing type thing. So he wanted to kind of get close to me, I think. But we met today for the first time, and he said he's wiring the money next week, $165,000 for a house and buying.
And then his biggest incentive to do that is you're paying the interest.
8% interest, which isn't a lot, because he literally told me he's also loaning on a liquor license at 14%. So he knows there's deals out there, but sometimes it's a relationship thing. He wanted to, even though we weren't even friends on Facebook, he wanted to connect somehow. But you get what you ask for. So if you're looking for the private money, you can get it.
So now for hard money, I reached out to someone a year ago or so. They wanted 20% down and 3 points.
Yep.
And then the origination fees, and it was like more than if I would have went to the bank. So do you ever find it?
Hard money will be more money than the bank.
Okay, because you're getting the rehab costs and everything.
Yeah. So we will go, like most of the time, I don't use hard money. I've never used hard money ever, actually. So we will go to the bank. We have Bank of Landisburg's pretty easy going. So that's where we have unsecured line of credit with them.
I didn't know if any of them asked for less than 20% or if that's like a go.
There is some that will do 10% down. And once again, as you get more experience and rapport with them, you can open up the doors more.
Okay.
The one hard money guy I know, well, he'll give me whatever I ask him for on a deal. The 100 to buy it, the 20 to fix it up, he would give me all that at 14%. But I'd prefer not to pay 14. But our line of credit's 10, so 14 is not that much of a jump from lines of credit. 9?
Yes.
It's down. It was at 10, wasn't it?
Yeah, it went down.
Yeah.
I didn't know it come down.
You do line of credit on your property, or is it like, what's the line of credit on?
I do have a line of credit on one of our properties, or two of them. But then, like, once again, I think I have a $2 million unsecured line against nothing,
Oh, nice.
which is hard to get, but Bank of Landisburg will do that.
Okay.
Did you ever ask them for one like that? What did they say?
50,000 was the most that they would do.
Okay. Did you get it? See, you get it, and then you use it, and then you pay it. That's how you get. Then you get.
It's just 50,000.
So you're able to get lines of credit on your rental properties?
I could. I typically don't though for myself because I keep this bank. I think I have two or.
It's hard to get. It's hard to get a line of credit on your rental properties.
It is?
Us, we can get it. Other people, it's hard.
Smaller bank, like the more you get experience, then you keep pressing the bank and keep talking to them and keep asking. You just don't say
And don't
no.
stick with one bank.
Yeah.
Don't stick with one bank. Because if you get all your properties tied up with one bank, they'll say, you got a season, give it a year. And you're like, I got a deal. But if you spread it between, and that was the biggest thing we did. We were stuck with one bank because our dad taught us that way. And we always thought that was good. Hey, you got all our business. Well, that puts them at bigger risk because they got all your stuff. If you go under, they're losing everything. So you try to spread it out. But it's just talking to banks and going to real estate meetups and asking.
Yeah, they're good to go too. Yeah.
I know there's not as many real estate meetups now. There's one that goes into the Boomerang. Justin, what's his last name?
Robotile.
Yeah, yeah. So he puts on a thing. He's a lender.
Yeah, I've met him before.
Yeah. And that's what we used to do. We used to always go to the meetups. That's how we found people and talked to people. Got to know the wholesalers and stuff. Even though that's changing, but that's what you do.
I went to a meetup one time in closer to Lancaster, and I met Anna Kelly, and she ended up being, long story short, one of my real estate partners, and her and I have 300 apartments together because of meeting her at one meetup. So it's, partnerships can work. We've had a fair amount of them over the years, and for the most part, they're okay. Any questions? Anything you want? Anyone have any questions?
You mentioned wholesale. I hear something about you needing a real estate license to be able to wholesale.
Yep. You need it. Yep. He has it. He does it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
wholesaling is basically
Just
going
came out
away.
January 6th.
Oh, I was gonna say, we bought our 8 unit from a wholesaler.
That's going to get trickier. I mean,
But guys, before you leave, there is a sign-up sheet over there, just to put your email down, because if you are interested, we do have an ebook that we're gonna email out, and that's specifically talking about the burn method and how to utilize it. And then 2, we can put you on our buyers list for remarkable home buyers, in case if we have a house that we are, we're passing on and we're just gonna try to sell it, it would be a good opportunity for you guys to, see what we have available to purchase.
and these two are both realtors, so if anyone's looking to buy houses, they can also help you possibly buy an investment property. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Come on, man.
You're so new, I forget about you.
We'll
talk later, don't worry.
He does have 4 under contract this month.
You just gotta wait till I get my license and then I'll be the newbie.
There you go.
Yeah.
These 3. If you want to talk to any one of them, you can. And they're all on Facebook, so.
You talk about banks. Do you lean more towards credit unions or
Bank of Landisburg, you can write down Bank of Landisburg or ever reach out to me, I'll give you a connection.
Well, you can use Bank of Landisburg, but they don't go to the river. They stay in Cumberland and Perry County.
Yeah, I was gonna say Bank of Landisburg is pretty tight area.
But yeah, I mean, People's Bank was a good one. We haven't really gone out and searched for many banks lately, so the other thing to do is when you're in a real estate meetup, you talk to people and ask what bank they're using. You know, our biggest thing is we already have established our people we use. So it's one of the things, just going out and talking to people.
Most of our stuff is on this side of the river.
You don't even have to use a bank. I mean, there's other mortgage companies out there.
Mortgage brokers.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes you find a better deal that way.
And if you're looking to do like your very first one, and you're looking to do, I would use probably government loans. So if you're going FHA, 3.5% down.
If you're gonna live in it.
We can't
Yeah,
get,
you're gonna
like,
live in it.
what was that, we couldn't get, we tried to get FHA, right? It was like we made too much money or something. Is that the first time home buyer, or no, that's not, what am I thinking?
Well, if
What's
you're-
the loan we made too much money, we couldn't get? We got-
PHFA is
USDA.
They have the income limits
Okay.
on those.
also, you
Okay.
can't go over 4 units for FHA.
Yeah, so,
I mean, I have a lender that I used probably 3 or 4 times last year. They're out of Camp Hill, and they have a 0% down, no PMI conventional loan. Now, you do have to, I mean, it would have to be, you would have to, like, something more, that you would have to live probably in one. I can check and find out if what.
Well, they don't have their own house yet. They just have apartments.
I'm moving. Give me that guy's name.
see, there's a lot of stipulations like that, though, like you have to live here, or we did commercial residential, right, because the 8 unit is commercial.
Yeah.
So there was all these, like, other stuff that, but right now we have, like, most of our money locked up in our property and other investments, so I'm like, we've been talking about, can't like cash out refi, do you cash out refi? Like, I'm like, what's the best way? We got this one house on a whim, this dude was moving to the Philippines and marrying some chick, so we were able to buy the house for the 20 grand, so we got like lucky with that, but I'm like, we want to get another one, we have like.
How much equity do you think you have in the house? Would you consider selling that one to go buy something bigger?
Sell it and buy something else.
We have like we have over 200 grand in that. We put 20% down on 575. Like, we put a lot of money into it.
Which one?
Right? The 8 unit.
No, I think you should keep the 8 unit. I'm talking about the house.
Oh, the house?
Nobody paid 20 grand for
100
it.
grand.
Equity.
Yeah.
So maybe take that and go buy something bigger. You might have to pay some tax on it, or you could do a 1031 if you got lucky.
But or to go refinance that one and pull the money out.
These interest rates,
Yeah, we
It
have
does,
like 3%. What is that, 3%?
4, yeah.
So you wouldn't like refi because I'm like, if we refi the bigger one, I don't know, the numbers to me, that's like.
We have only 2 times, really, in the last, since we've started buying rentals in 2010, since then, 2004, we've only really taken out money twice.
Okay.
Like 2 times we substantially took money out. One time is because I put way too much into my personal house, so we took out a couple $100 grand. And then one other time we took $400 grand out to do the assisted living. Those are the only really 2 times. We've really never refied anything or cashed out for the most part.
Well, then we sold a bunch.
We sold 50 last year before.
And then you sell just to buy something new.
We sold in that case to build up reserves more and more. Because remember, I lost 1.3 million of cash last year on the assisted living.
So how much cash reserves do you think you should have, like, depending on how many units you have?
I mean, that's different for everybody. Rentals, I don't think are a huge risk, but I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
How much I mean, there's a lot of factors, like how much of the work do you do yourself? What can you fix?
Yeah.
So it's like it's all, we did all the work all the time, so we had very little reserves at the beginning.
I mean, back when we had 40 or 50, I don't even think we didn't even have 50,000 back then. Like we didn't have much.
How much reserve should you have for a typical house like this? For like let's say this would be your first house.
I mean, I'm okay if you like. So you just bought your 3rd rental, and how much did you dip down and not have, or down to? How far did you dip?
Like $3 grand.
$3 grand in the bank account, and you had 3 different houses.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes you work a little harder, right? I'm okay with making people work. I'm okay with him doing that because now he's got to sell more.
He just tells me to spend all the money I want.
Yeah, buy anything you want, Colin, because then you're going to be forced to work on it. So
Go buy this
You
guy.
talking about reserves, are you talking about cash, or are you talking about having access, like,
that's his reserves. That's all he has. He didn't even have a line. He was down to $3,000 after he just bought his nice house.
Yeah, but the coolest thing is, like, you know, Rob and I sat down the other day, and he's like, well, Rob's my coach, my real estate coach.
We also share an office.
Yeah, we do. And so anyhow, he said, do you know what your net worth is? And I said, no. And he said, well, let's figure it out. And so I just turned 24 yesterday, and you know, I never thought I'd be where I am today, but like, my net worth is $275,000, and it's like, being 20, I just turned 24, and it's like, if it wasn't for this company, or being in and around this every day, I would never be here, at all. So it's like, you know, you just gotta, I guess, get the right focus.
Or if you didn't find that wife of yours, too.
Okay.
She's pretty good, too.
I got pretty good there.
To answer your question, I think a lot of that is based on risk tolerance. I think me personally, I would be comfortable with buying this property and having like 10K in reserves.
Come on, you don't, like, if you only had your first one, you're going to, like, come on, no one's going to get there.
That's my risk
Yeah,
tolerance.
yeah. Your dad and your grandpa stored, they're drywallers, so they stored all their money in the walls, like literally.
All right, we are not going there.
There's a-
Talking about anything in regards to that, so.
I just want them to know where you're coming from.
Okay, but I think that's a healthy number.
I think many people put it on a credit card, like go down to nothing to buy their first one.
Put it on a credit card?
I know people that have.
Are we really having this conversation?
Oh wait, I'm anti-credit cards. Yeah, I'm anti-credit cards.
Did you forget about that?
Yeah. I don't think people should have credit. I don't have a credit card in my personal name. I have a couple in the business, but. Do you have a personal credit card?
Yeah.
Okay.
But my Starbucks doesn't go on there.
I know people that have, like, I don't think you have to have, I mean, I think you're going to go down to some low numbers when you're buying the first one. But as long as you have a job and you know you're not going to have a job, if you lose your job, you find a job within a day or two. Like, you just got to go nonstop.
The first one's the hardest.
Yeah.
The first one is the hardest.
So don't buy a major $50,000 remodel on the first one. Find something easy, wait a little, like just be aggressively looking.
What do you do in case of, like, let's say you would get stuck with something?
Mhm.
The floor is really bad, or you don't have enough money, and you get stuck in the middle.
Then you better find a second job, find a third job.
We're gonna do it.
I mean, we have our own company, so we have streams of income, but I'm just saying in terms of not losing more money on the house, is there a way to, like, you just make connections, you just...
We were $1 million in the hole and had no idea what to do. So you just buckle down and don't spend and you make more money. Just no choice.
Any other questions, concerns, comments?
I have one question. So it seems like there's a lot of competition to find good deals. Like, I'm in several Facebook groups, and it seems like the moment somebody posts like a good deal, like within 5 minutes there's like 20 comments like, I'm interested, I'm interested. So for somebody like us that doesn't have like a portfolio at all, like how do we get in the door?
I'll answer that one.
Oh yeah, he's pretty good at this.
Just because there's 20 comments doesn't mean one of those people even have money. So
Yeah.
I went to a house the other day, 2 mobile homes on 1 piece of land, and the guy's like, I got all these people coming. And of course I called him the other day and he goes, I got no offers. And he lowered the price. Like, you just don't think about everybody else, just think about you. Because if you don't go, guess how many shots you took?
None.
You didn't get
You found that on Facebook?
Yes.
Okay. But I would say the majority of the deals he's finding is not from Facebook. I would say he's in the diner talking to people. He's on the street or in the store talking to people. Like, what are some?
Driving through town, you see a sign or a foreclosure notice or something on a door. I get out and I knock on the doors next to it and try to get answers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just about how much do you want it?
Yeah.
You know, if you're not gonna go out and look for it, you're not gonna find it. I mean, you just constantly look.
Even driving around and seeing a house that looks like it needs a ton of work and just trying to get in contact with that person, writing letters during summertime, it's a dead giveaway when the grass is high, that it's not being maintained. Even just scouring the MLS, just networking with people, going to meetups, a lot of relationship building, getting on people's buyers list. Like, that's all ways to find properties.
You can find deals in the MLS.
Yeah.
It's harder and getting harder, but you can do it.
Yeah,
I
there's
mean, I
definitely.
got a 2-unit right now in Pembroke that I didn't, it just got listed. But you just never know. Like, some days they sell real fast, other days, some people are picky, you know? And the question is, you know, some people say, well, it needs too much work. Well, that's that person. You know, it's always relative.
You probably won't get as lucky. Back in like 2008, 2010, when we bought 100 one year, like if someone had a sign on, back then they had like a sign for sale, and I would call on the house in Carlisle, and it was like they wanted $25,000. So I bought many houses for $25,000. I bought the cheapest one I bought was $15,000. I offered 8, and I got it for 15, and it was livable. I bought a 2-unit for $35,000. That was, yeah. It was, I was nervous about buying too many. Like, I was worried. Like, I didn't know.
Should have bought more back then.
Yeah, but you didn't want the rates to be low and then jump up and then be like stuck. But in 80 years, you know, we've only had 6 or 8 years where the house values have gone down. And 4 or 6 of those years were in 2008, which we lived through. So we that scared people. We were builders. It bankrupted a lot of people, like, because they gave loans to anyone and everyone. And the market it was unbelievable. But that's like, 4 to 6 of the years happened then. So other than that, there's only been 2 years where house values have gone down in 80 years. So chances are it's going to go up.
Yeah, now's always the best time to buy, because, I mean, 10 years from now, you're gonna look back and say, I wish I bought. Because, I mean, the values of the houses are just never gonna go down. And then even people say, like, I'll just wait until interest rates go down. Well, guess what? If you're gonna wait until interest rates go down, you're waiting years till they actually go down. So the time to buy is always now, because you're never gonna get today's prices in the future.
I would say that, or you're paying 20-25% more. That's the thing,
Yeah.
if they do.
In 2006, it felt really high. Like, that's what it crested and went high. And we've completely blown by those numbers.
There's a lot of houses just sitting on the market right now. I mean, in all honesty, right now, in my opinion, is probably one of the best times to buy. I mean, Rhonda can tell you, Steven can tell you, we're getting houses under list price. We're getting 6% seller help for some of our clients. You know, I have a VA buyer right now looking for an investment property, and if we find him one, it's gonna be full 6%. He's gonna he might get money back at the closing table. So, you know, there's so many. If you're a veteran, I don't know if there's any veterans in this room, but, you know, there's some really good opportunities to get into investment properties with a little amount of money. So it's just, you gotta take the shot.
I would tell you guys, just my 2 cents. We did 2 deals, and pretty much in circles like this. Never MLS, never really went out searching, but told people that, hey, we're looking to invest, and then they found deals for us and brought it to us. So,
We were under contract for a place in Hershey, right across from, it was like that, right across from Staples, that new thing right on the thing. But we didn't know about the Airbnb, like the rules. We were gonna have a 2-unit more expensive than the 8-unit we found. We went to a real estate meetup at a diner for breakfast, met the wholesaler, an open house, like similar to what you're saying, like we thought, oh, it's a great deal. We were the only people who went to the open house for the 8-unit and put in an offer and got it for less than they wanted. So we got out of the contract for Hershey and got the 8-unit for like less than we were gonna pay for a 2-unit in Hershey. So they're like, just because people are out there like interested, like nobody else came.
That 2-unit was expensive, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like 6 something, and then we were like, we didn't.
$640 for 2 units.
You have to read the rules. It might have been okay. I thought about that. Yeah.
It was nice. I mean, it was nice. We were under contract for it. We were able to get out of it, but like then we looked at the rents. Like we didn't know what we were doing. We're like, this is beautiful. It's in Hershey. Like let's get it. And the rent's like, I don't think we would have made,
No.
yeah, the money on the rent.
Not as pretty what you have, but
Yeah,
cash flows.
yeah.
How did you buy yours?
Oh, I lived in mine, so I bought it with FHA. It's a 2-unit.
Oh, nice. Good. You're smart.
And so the one's a monthly payment, the other one's Airbnb.
Oh, yeah.
I bought myself a single-family home.
What year?
I bought in 2020,
Oh,
a
good.
2-unit, and then in 2022 I bought my house.
Awesome.
Now I'm ready to add more.
You have a rental or no? Oh, no. Anyone else have any in here right now? How'd you buy them? No?
I got a mix, mortgage, private money, and owner finance.
Did you get them off the MLS or no?
No, just people that we knew,
Just word of mouth?
yeah.
That's a good way to get them. You can get less competition that way. It's less, when it goes on the MLS, it's usually not good.
Yeah, every multifamily on the MLS now is like ridiculous, like 2 units for like $450 and $500.
My multi-unit wasn't on the MLS, it was about to go on, and the agent I was working with knew about it. I bought it for $198.
Yep.
It's right across from yours.
Where?
It's on South Pitt Street, right across from that one.
Oh, really?
A lot of times what people don't realize with the MLS is most of the time people are just looking at active listings. If you go to expired listings or withdrawal listings or canceled listings, you can get some deals that way because it was on the MLS at one point in time and it didn't sell. Okay, well, why didn't it sell? And if you get a hold of those people and say, hey, are you still interested in selling? Sometimes you can generate a deal from that.
Because sometimes it's just a bad agent that couldn't get it to sell.
I know there's multiple multi-families up in Shippensburg right now sitting. They've been listed for weeks, yeah.
Who wants Shippensburg anyway?
But still, if you're
There
looking
are
to get
certain
started,
areas in Shippensburg that are open.
I have one. I'm not a fan.
if you're looking to get started, you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
So, you're saying about 2 units for 400,000, I mean, I think the most expensive 2-unit up in Ship right now is like 245 or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's,
I'm trying to keep everything, Palmyra, Annville, Jonestown.
Those are great areas too.
I want
Palmyra's.
everything like 15 minutes.
Do you know Anna Kelly, the REI mom on
So
Facebook?
actually, we used to live next to her when I guess they first moved there, they had that 4-unit with the chiropractor.
Yep.
So we lived, like she put a post up how she like lived in one, like it's real life, like she lived in the upstairs of the one and we lived in the apartment next door and like she played with her kid. So,
Yeah. She's really smart. Okay. No other questions? Thanks for coming. Hope you got something out of it.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Did it answer your questions? Okay, good.